Are you afraid of death?
Honestly, I'm not afraid of death. A long time ago, about 20 years ago, it was a little shortly after my divorce, I think it happened. And I decided that I was going to relive my 20s. And my approach to it was that I made the decision to live my life like as if I'm already dead, like as if I'm already gone. But I'm not, and I view life as a gathering, you know? You throw a party, everybody comes over, right? You indulge in good food and drink and good company, and you're like, I'm tired, adios, it's time for me to go home.
Hello, and welcome to Death is for the Dying, a special season of the Life is for the Living podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Richmond. This season, as you may well guess from the new name, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite topic, death. As the saying goes, nothing is certain but death and taxes. But for a long time, Americans have avoided the topic as uncomfortable and unseemly. And this can cause a number of problems for those who are going through it. For many, the only frame of reference for what dying looks like is unrealistic death scenes in movies and TV, meaning that when we face someone who is actively dying, we don't know what to expect, which can turn a normal life event into something more traumatic. Additionally, we give our dead to strangers to clean. And in fact, we never get a chance to interact with the dead body, making it hard for us to emotionally accept that our loved ones are dead. We no longer grieve as a community. So those left behind have to travel through their grief alone and have no real guidance as how to manage it. And we let our sacred places of death disappear, leaving us without a place to feel meaningful connection with our histories. Our hope for this season is to provide context and guidance for all the messy and scary parts of death, to give people the tools to have a healthy relationship with death, and also just to let people know that they are not alone. But before I dive in, I do want to share some sad news for followers of this podcast. Ghada El Sayed, one of our guests from the second season, and who you heard at the intro, died last year due to the breast cancer that she had been diagnosed with immediately before we interviewed her 3 years ago. She is very much missed and was a dear friend, and we would like to dedicate this season to her memory. In this season, we're going to start with a question: why should we talk about death, and how do we broach the topic? After that, we're going to focus on guest Mara, whose relationship with death is very immediate, as her husband is dying of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. ALS was formerly known as Lou Gehrig's disease and is a neurological disorder that results in increasing muscle weakness. Life expectancy after diagnosis is usually 2 to 5 years. We will talk with Mara about what those first months after the diagnosis was like and how she got through it.
My name is Mara Dolan, and I am 54 years old. I would like to be known as smart and beautiful, but, there's limitations with that. So I'm going to go with someone who helped other people and was compassionate and empathetic, which I have learned are very different. Like, you can have compassion and still be not empathetic. I want to be both of those. I want to be known as someone who was able to feel others, what they were going through, because I think that's so important. That's what this world needs more of today. So I hope people can just get better at putting themselves in other people's shoes. I was not good at it. So I would like to think that I got good at it and that people will remember me that way.
We will talk with both Mara and our next guest, Kathy, about the kind of decisions you have to make when facing a terminal diagnosis and the terrible, beautiful, unbearable, sacred time that happens when you are waiting for somebody to die. Kathy is an end-of-life doula, and in fact, she's my family's end-of-life doula and is helping us as we watch my mom slowly die of dementia.
Why do you need to know my age?
We do not. It's just an easy question.
My name is Kathy Bates. I'm 72 years old. An end-of-life doula is someone who is able to be a great listener, to be able to hold space for individuals and their loved ones that are embarking on the end-of-life journey. And that can take place in a wide variety of settings, whether that's in the home environment, in a skilled nursing facility, nursing home, adult family home, independent apartments. An end-of-life doula is about being present, but it is a gentle guide to help people demystify the death and dying process. Someone who's providing information and education and options, choices. People don't realize that they have choices, and that is an important mission. But first and foremost, it's about being present for others and helping their loved ones.
How did you end up becoming an end-of-life doula?
Well, I've been helping people die for 30 plus years in the skilled nursing setting. And I have had the great fortune of working with actually 3 palliative care hospice doctors and having difficult conversation at the bedside with the doctor and I, and oftentimes just the individual who is in the skilled nursing, it's called a resident or a patient in the hospital. And it is just a sacred journey. And it's also always been very important to me that as much as feasible that no one dies alone, but also that their story has been given a voice. Maya Angelou has a quote about the greatest agony is an untold story of an individual. And I believe that's true. And so to be able to bear witness is great. So I am somebody whose purpose actually is to ease people's pain. And that is emotional, spiritual, psychological pain. And it took me a while to discover that was my purpose.
Next in our journey, we will talk with Brooks, a hospice volunteer, about what actively dying looks like.
My name is Brooks Lewis, and I will be 71 years old on Wednesday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Brooks is a queer elder, a hospice volunteer, a death doula, a Southerner, a survivor of the 1980s AIDS epidemic, and someone who is very familiar with death.
My husband died, my parents died, 2 of my brothers died, my nephew died. Not to mention however many 100 people died back in the 80s. And since then, people that I've known here in Las Cruces have died. People that I've sat by their bedside, they've died.
Then we will turn to Seth Vidal, the co-owner of the Natural Funeral Home in Colorado, and chat about what you need to know about body disposal.
My name is Seth Vidal, and I'm 48 years old.
How would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as joyful, as pretty fun to be around because I'm in search of folks who are living their most authentic lives. And I would describe myself as a servant of my community. That's where I find the most joy and the most peace. I find myself being an advocate. That would be another word I'd use to describe myself, is someone whose goal is to empower other families in moments where they really need an ally.
For a discussion about rituals surrounding death, we will talk to Rebecca Lynn Scott, a Hellenic pagan and a death-positive activist.
I am Rebecca Lynn Scott. I am 46 years old.
How would you describe yourself?
I don't fit neatly under labels. I am a crafter. I am someone who studies life as much as I can. And I am part of the death positive community.
Our last guest is Jennifer, who will walk us through how graveyards can disappear and how the Black death experience is different from that of the white experience.
My name is Jennifer Rashawn Blanks, and I'm 30 years old.
How would you describe yourself?
Oh, how would I describe myself? I'm very creative, very bubbly, very bright, very curious, a wanderer. I need a lot of supervision when I'm out because I like to drift, I like to see, I like to explore. I'm a foodie. I love to travel and coordinate itineraries around restaurants and specific meals. Oh, what else? I'm very family oriented. So I have an identical twin sister. I have an older sister, an older brother, and 5 nephews and 1 niece, and cousins back at home in New Orleans and Slidell, Louisiana, that I visit at least once a month or every other month. Um, Social butterfly for sure. I don't meet strangers anywhere I go. And I have a lot of different interests and hobbies. So I love to crochet. I play video games. I'm a Nintendo child at heart, so that's my favorite system. Uh, what else? Cemeteries, obviously. uh, of yeah, I'd say all of those things are kind of who I am.
After we talk to Jennifer, we will ask all of our guests about how they would change death-related laws or death-related beliefs so that we as a society can have a more meaningful relationship with death. Then for the last 2 episodes, we get personal, asking our guests if they are afraid of death, how they want to die, and we listen to their own stories of experiencing death and grieving. And that is it for this intro episode of Death is for the Dying. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to join this conversation about death, you can reach us at Life is for the L on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at lifeisforthelivingpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we now have a YouTube channel. You can listen to the episodes, comment, and we're doing something new called Epitaph episodes, and in those, you can actually see us. So until then, take care of yourselves.